Logan Dishman is a kid that was really infamous for claiming to be extremely strong. He even benched 1,000 pounds at a certain point, and the whole time he was doing
1,000 pounds is crazy. What's up, guys? Welcome to another video for the boys. It's your boy Blizzy, and today we're gonna be reacting to Fake Natty Reused Needles and It Nearly Ended His Life by Coach Kolton. If y'all haven't noticed, man, I love going to the gym. I've actually been going consistently for the past, I would say 7-8 months now. Well, no, 9 months now. And one of my homeboys actually told me, like, yo, you'd be surprised how many people are using steroids at the gym. And I'm like, what? He basically like, bro, if they lift heavier than you, they're using steroids, bro. I was like, no way. That's crazy. But anyways, man, we're going to get into this video, break it down. I'm into fitness. I want to see what homie talking about.
Man, I cannot believe where this fitness industry is going. And it seems like since 2015, there's just been this continuous down.
Bro, that looks disgusting. That looks gross, man. I'll be looking at some of these bodybuilders, man, and I'm like, bro, there is such a thing as like too big where it becomes kind of gross, you know, like it's no longer aesthetically pleasing. And yeah,
downward trend of steroid usage leading to terrible.
This nigga was funny as shit, bro. He was a fucking gangster, bro.
Outcomes within the social media realm, and then honestly just a ton of fitness influencers having the most dishonest personality with their audience, and it's really weird. It's super weird as a time to be in right now. And this folds us onto the topic of Logan. This is someone I'm catching onto quite late, but I think it's still really worth talking about because it's honestly a bonkers situation. So Logan Dishman is a kid that was really infamous for claiming to be extremely strong. He even benched 1,000 pounds at a certain point, and the whole time he was doing
1,000 pounds is crazy. Bro, what you benching 1,000 pounds for? You trying to lift the whole population? You trying to lift Earth? God damn.
Doing it, believe it or not, he was claiming that he was 19 years old this whole time. In fact, he was 16 years old when he started to post content lifting insane amounts of weight that was almost...
Honestly, I wish I was working out consistently when I was 19, bro. If I was consistent since I was 19 years old, I would be fucking jacked as shit now, man. Damn. I remember I worked out a little bit in high school. I want to say like 10th. I started working out like 10th grade inconsistently, right? Then I stopped working out for a whole till like college. I worked out a little bit, then I stopped. It was just such an inconsistent journey. I really wish I was consistent since I was like freaking, like, some of these cats are working out since they were like 16. If I was consistently working out since I was like 16, 17, 18, I would be super jacked right now. Right now, I just started consistently working out. I'm 26 right now. I think, like, literally, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, like 9 months ago, like last year, October. And I've been seeing results, and it's just a consistent process that I've been doing, having a routine, and I've just been getting better and better every day. But yeah, let me know when y'all started working out, man. All y'all gym rats out there. When did y'all start working out?
Almost inconceivable. And a lot of people questioned his natty status during this time. He would refuse to even budge in the slightest direction that would suggest he was taking steroids. Refuse in the comments. His audience that was loyal to his following was militant. Anytime that anyone would comment something about gear use or question his natural status, his audience would swarm them in the comments section of Instagram or TikTok saying that, hey, you can't say that. This guy's clearly natty. You're just coping. But the reality,
I mean, if you're benching 1,000 pounds, you're definitely not natty, man. 1,000 pounds is insane.
is, I mean, I feel like at least I'm getting rage baited every time I comment in one of these people's comment sections because their audience is militant. They just have an army of dick riders, to be honest, claiming that this guy is natty. He's no bullshit. Like, this is my idol. You have no idea. And then soon to find out, which doesn't take long, there's a lot of question marks about their behavior or status as a natural athlete. And I can't help but wonder, in 2025, how is it that we have more IFBB pro level physiques in teenagers 18-year-olds, and they're seemingly natural. They're just coming out of the walls, left, right, and center. It's not happening, right? I think this whole conundrum started a long time ago when steroids became very public. Then it swung too far in one direction, and now it's swinging in the other direction where people are trying to hide and conceal themselves for the...
I ain't gonna lie, man. 2025, I don't know if it's because I've just been in the gym more consistently. I never knew like steroids was such a widespread thing. Like, it's become more and more popular in this generation, especially in this generation of kids that are like 16, 17, 18, 19. They're all hopping on gear so early. And guys, like, from what I know, hopping on gear that early, it can be very detrimental to you because it shuts down your body from producing natural testosterone. It's basically saying, your body's basically saying like, hey, I don't need to produce testosterone anymore because we're getting it from an exterior factor. And so why do I need to produce it? And that could really mess you up long term. And so y'all be careful out there, man. Stay away from the gear, man. Just do it naturally and just, put your head into it and be consistent, man.
Of probably no one, to be honest. Probably no one. I don't really understand the concept. I'm sure they don't want to interrupt their family life, relationships, job, employment, whatever the case might be. Maybe even sponsors. And we're seeing the transition again, like where sponsors don't like people openly talking about a lot of the PED usage that they might be doing. You're seeing silence on the interwebs. And this whole spiel comes from the fact that this kid was one of them. Logan was one of those kids who had an amazing physique, huge strength out the wazoo. And because of that posting strategy and just kind of rage baiting people, 17 years old, natural, the strongest 16-year-old natural ever.
No comment, man. No comment.
To be. Because of this rage baiting style, it got tons of views. He got tons of following. And then guess what came with that? He got sponsored by Young LA. He got sponsored by a macros tracking company. He got sponsored by a fucking supplement company. So yeah, the shit worked, and it worked well. If you say that there's no incentive to take steroids or other performance enhancing drugs in this community, you're absolutely wrong, because almost anybody who's on it has the sponsors, and anybody who's not, well, unfortunately, sometimes they're left out to dry. So what happened?
I don't know if I could date a chick that's like just freaking ripped and jacked, bro. Like, just imagine you hit him from the back and you just see all them fucking muscles, bro. Like, god damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fucking monster. She might be harder than me.
If you've been under a rock within the fitness industry for a while, let me just break it down. Simply put, the moral of the story is that Logan reused a needle that he was injecting himself with to administer steroids. Now, when you inject steroids, I think that this is common knowledge, but a lot of YouTubers haven't really touched on these topics, so I feel like going in depth is kind of important here. When you administer steroids, there's quite a few variations of steroids. So you have like intranasal steroids, like hormonal steroids. You have topical steroids, which are transdermal. They go through your skin to administer the dosage of certain compounds. You have oral steroids, which are 17-alkylated to withstand liver metabolism. And then you have injectable steroids, which is the most common. This is what you're going to see in most doctors' offices. This is what you're going to see in most bodybuilders and athletes, is an injectable form of steroids. So what you usually will see is somebody will use an inch to a half an inch needle, somewhere around there, and do an intramuscular injection. So if you've ever gotten a vaccine at the doctor when you were a kid or in your adult, I'm not going to talk about whether that's effective or not, all right? Don't make this a political thing, but you always get an intramuscular.
See, I can never do steroids because I got a phobia for needles, bro. I cannot do needles. Anything sharp and pointing, do not, I don't need it. I don't need it next to my skin. I can't even, y'all niggas bold just like, see, I can't do that, bro.
Get an intramuscular variation of an injection with those vaccines. So it'd be like a long needle and they'd pop it right into your shoulder. It hurt. It always hurt. It sucked. No one in the world liked those things. Now, if you're a smart cat, you know that you don't actually need to do intramuscular injections as long as your dose volume is quite small. You can do subcutaneous injections, which are just underneath the skin. You don't have to go into the muscle. Actually much safer in terms of the prevention of scar tissue development as well as infection. But there's a couple issues reasons. One of them being that the stuff under your skin doesn't metabolize as quickly as the stuff under your muscle, and the fact that it can be quite painful under your skin, especially depending on what you're putting in there, and as well, volumes are quite limited. So a lot of people just forego the subcutaneous route, even though it can be a safer method, and just do only intramuscular. Now, what had happened in his case is he had taken an injection. Likely, he ran out of some of the needles. You can run out of these things, but you can purchase them next day shipping from Amazon. So really, if you're having to reuse needles, this is completely on you. And no matter what you say, which he claims to have not been educated or had any guidance, I don't even care. That's retarded. Straight up. You can go on Amazon right now and buy every piece of equipment you need to administer AAS on Amazon, next day ship it to your house. So whenever...
Nigga was just being a dumb kid, bro. Just being dumb and reckless, bro. Like, y'all niggas be dirty sometimes, bro. Like, just frat boy dirty, bro. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It be y'all niggas, bro. It be y'all niggas, bro. Y'all niggas be dirty than a bitch, bro. Like, y'all niggas that don't shower. Y'all know who I'm talking about, bro. Y'all niggas that don't shower. Y'all don't brush your teeth for days. Y'all use other people's deodorant, bro. Dirty, bro.
Anyone tries to say the copium of, I wasn't educated, shut up.
Shut the f*** up.
You're just like, literally, you're saying you're incapable of being a human being. That's all it is. So what this kid does is he uses an injection and then he reuses the same needle the following day. So when you have a needle, you have basically like a tip, a needle, and then the barrel or the syringe. And usually you have the barrel and you have the syringe and you can twist it off, pull off the needle, and then put off a new needle. Now, typically what you would do is, let's say you would put the plunger, I'm getting really specific, but you'd have the testosterone vial, you'd poke the needle in the testosterone vial with the syringe attached, you draw out the required amount of said medication, and then what you would do, because that needle had been blunted by the rubber stopper on the vial, you would switch that needle out with maybe a smaller one because that hurts less. Smaller needle goes on, same syringe, and then you inject that. Fresh needle, not blunted, all good to go. What I imagine this guy was doing is he was using one needle, putting in the rubber stopper, taking it out, probably microplastics and what else on that, needle now, and it's been blunted, so it's going to hurt more. Jabs it in himself, calls it good, and then redoes that the next day, or however many days. Who knows what he's telling is truth or not, and then he gets a staph infection. This is life-threatening. This is literally life-threatening, especially because the telltale signs of a staph infection aren't so very clear until it's well set in, and you probably need to get some sort of biopsy done and just get that shit cut out. Now, you might be asking, how did anybody find this out? Well, his friends leaked it to the world via some Snapchat messages where he told them very clearly that he was injecting tren, he was injecting testosterone, and many, many more things. They then leaked this information out to the internet. And so now everyone had a hold of all of this information, that he was injecting steroids, that he had reused needles and fucked up himself, and that's why he's in the hospital, potentially going to die, mind you, and that he obviously had been a fake natural this whole time. Like this whole time that he had been claiming natural, beating these massive records that he was not natural. Not only that, he had talked about injecting these he obviously had been a fake natural.
Hold on. So he said he claimed to be natural to prevent himself from getting kicked out of his parents' house, to prevent other teenagers to be pressured into using it, to boost engagement, to get sponsors. I hopped on in hopes to become the youngest IFBB pro peer. But your life was in danger, so you risk your life. So you thought all of this was worth risking your life and probably dying. And you thought probably dying was worth all of this. Come on, man. Use your brain, dog. Use your amygdala, bro. Use your prefrontal cortex. Yo, honestly, I feel like a lot of these kids are hopping on way too early. I don't think hopping on gear is bad. Now, if your body's not producing testosterone, when you're much older, when you're fucking 55, 60, if I'm 55, I'm 60, and my testosterone levels are freaking low, hell yeah, gear me up. But we're young. We're in our early 20s. These are teenagers, bruh. There's several things that you can do to boost your testosterone. Go to bed early. Get 8 hours of sleep. Change your diet. Eat healthy. Go to the gym. Work out. Do your cardio, right? Eat right. I think I already said that. get enough sunlight. Get enough sunlight to boost your serotonin levels, bro. Like, there is a lot of things that we can do to make sure that our testosterone levels are at an all-time natural high. Now, if you have problems with your testosterone being high, of course, but generally that happens when you're a lot much older. Right now, we need to make sure that we do the things that we need to do to get big. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, and I think that's what it is. These kids are hopping on test because they want the gains to happen overnight. That's not how it works, right? You're supposed to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. That's what's most important for you to enjoy, that gives you the results of looking big and jacked, not gear. My bad, Joe. I just have to vent a little bit because I'm like...
So this whole time, like this whole time that he had been claiming natural, beating these massive records that he was not natural. Not only that, he had talked about injecting 600 milligrams of trenbolone, I think it was, possibly 400 milligrams, correct me if I'm wrong, which is an astronomical amount of trenbolone, before meeting up with Larry Wheels to impress him. Another huge problem with this industry is we always feel the need of approval from the others in the industry. If you meet a bigger influencer, he's got like 100K more, or in Larry Wheels' case, quite a few 100K more, you're going to want to know how to impress that guy. You're going to want to make an impression, because if you can get good, usually there's some accolades to that. I'm not a great influencer. I don't talk to anybody. So, like, my collaborations aren't so great. But what I do mean to say with this is that this kid is obviously heavily influenced by the current market that we see for social media. And of course, we get...
And that's the thing too, is like a lot of these influencers that are on gear, that are promoting it, are making it a norm. They're making it normal for young kids to hop on gear. And these big influencers, you know, like think about like people that we look up to, right? Like, I don't know, think about like your role model, right? If your role model is saying that, hey, I'm on gear, it's freaking cool, freaking amazing, right? Like I know like some people look up to like Togi, and Togi like normalizes being on gear. And what are a lot of kids that think that Togi's fucking cool gonna think? Yo, it's totally fine for me to hop on gear, right? And so I think we need to hold ourselves accountable, because those guys are also accountable for people that decide to hop on gear so early. And yeah, you know, they're called influencers for a reason.
To see this, right? We get to see it unfold live. He makes a response. He posted this on his Instagram not too long ago, about 5 days ago at this point. Again, I'm late to the story, but I figure it's worth talking about and breaking down some of the sciences behind what we're talking about here. In this post, he says that yes, he did get a staph infection. He had sepsis, or he went into sepsis rather, and it went to his heart, and his heart had stopped beating. He was put onto life support to keep him alive, and then he had IV antibiotics during his time on life support. He did finally pull out, but he had multiple nights in the hospital, all from a bad injection. These are the things that no one tells you about. Of course, it's all sunshine and roses, but what happens behind...
And a lot of these kids are not educated on how to properly, you know, use gear. Because I'm gonna assume that these kids are getting gear, you know, like, I'm gonna assume that these kids are getting the gear illegally, right? Or I'm pretty sure a doctor is not just prescribing them gear, and they're not educated on how to use it. Because if you're educated on how to use freaking needles, then you'll know to switch out your needles. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to get edgy. That's like common sense. You're pricking your skin, your muscle with something sharp, right?
Behind the scenes is quite vile. So then he goes on to expose everything that he took when he was quote unquote claiming natural, which in this, he says in March 2024, he was 16 years old. He had ran RAD 140 at 10 milligrams and MK677 at question mark. Both.
So RAD 140, I believe, is that a steroid? I want to say it's a peptide, and MK677 is a growth hormone, which yeah.
Diabolically not a good option, and especially not at 16 years old.
Yeah, 16 years old is crazy.
Just insane. First of all, RAD 140 was never approved for human use because of its hepatotoxicity. It is horrible for your hepatic system. It has caused liver failure in many situations, and in animal models, it has almost indefinitely caused the exact opposite of what they were intending it to do. See, a SARM stands for selective and
that's what it is. It's a SARM.
androgen receptor.
I heard those can fuck you up.
receptor modulator. And what that means is it's supposed to be selective to muscle growth or the positive effects that androgens do give us, so that you can give these drugs to women or younger children without them having to do what we often talk about on this channel, virilize themselves. But it turns out in reality that that just doesn't happen. And in some cases, these drugs are even worse than if someone just took testosterone, RAD140 being one of them. And then MK677 is a growth hormone secretagogue. It is a very subpar compound, and I don't really understand why it's still kept as this like highly regarded thing within some of the fitness space. It's not what you want to be running, especially at freaking 16 years old. And I don't know if you've seen this guy's body fat percentage, but it's not something that would be conducive to the well-being of his health, which
I mean, I want to say MK677. I've heard really good things about it. I believe it increases your appetite. It's also a growth hormone, which I want to say it tells your body to your pituitary gland to release more growth hormone, which speeds recovery and makes you stronger in the gym. If I got my facts right, all right. I don't know all the peptides and steroids and all that shit, but I'm well versed in some of them.
we could see by his blood work. I don't know if I've ever actually seen lipids, cholesterol, HDL, LDL this skewed in my entire life as a coach, where I directly pay for people to get their lab work done to see it. This is insane. And you can tell that what he was doing at such a young age was wildly destructive already. I mean, wildly destructive. This man is causing permanent changes to his body internally in his vasculature, and he probably doesn't even realize it. But that doesn't stop him at all. When he was 17 years old, he started to take RAD140, but now more than triple the dose, which is higher than I've ever seen anyone take this stuff, which is almost, it's perplexing. He also started testosterone at this time. He started taking LGD, another SARM, okay, also not approved for human use for the same exact reasons, very clearly, and also enclomiphene, which doesn't really make sense. Enclomiphene is a SERM, a selective estrogen receptor modulator, and ideally what it's supposed to do is block estrogen from acting on the estrogen receptor. What this does is it tells your endogenous system to say, hey, we don't have enough estrogen, we need to produce more testosterone. So your body starts to produce more testosterone to get more estrogen, but he's already on testosterone. So you're inhibiting it through one androgenic pathway, taking an estrogen receptor modulator.
Bro, who are influencing these niggas to just take this shit? Like
won't necessarily create more testosterone in serum. You could argue that he was taking this to block the breast tissue development that you might get from having an overexpression of estradiol, but this would not be the compound to be taking for that. So also very weird. And something to add is enclomiphene is a very psychogenic drug. It causes depression. It causes mild anhedonia in some people.
I want to say enclomiphene is a post-therapy drug that most people take when they're coming off of testosterone usage, so it helps your body start creating its own testosterone again, right? It's a post-therapy treatment. And I've heard some crazy shit about enclomiphene, like mood swings, if I'm not mistaken. Like you have some crazy mood swings. You start to feel like a bitch, like you're bipolar, and just everything, it just irritates you. And so and then he doubled down with RAD140 and then actual testosterone. Dude.
It's not something you want to be messing around with lightly, but often, unfortunately, it is in these younger demographics. And then we grow up more to that, which is crazy. He started using Ment. Ment is a very powerful injectable androgenic anabolic steroid. It is the real deal holy field. You don't see many people using it, and that's often because they don't recommend it. Ment often has a lot of very rough side effects. It is not a clean drug to be used. In fact, it was thrown away a long time ago when you have things that are at least mild in their side effects, like Masteron or Primobolan, things that are actually approved in human use. Well, Primobolan isn't anymore, unfortunately, as of late, but still, you shouldn't be using Ment. It's just a ridiculous choice. I don't even know how they would think of this. He says that he was just uneducated, but it's appearing to me that he was somehow educated enough to figure out what Ment was, which
exactly, how do you... bro, that's why I said, who is guiding this child to... how are you figuring this out? Like, golly, where are they getting this shit from?
Is an insane drug. And then he started just injecting everything. LGD, you got YK11, another SARM, which again, not approved for human use for the same exact reasons. And you can see on the blood work what's happening when someone takes SARMs actively. Like, it's not a secret. This stuff is not good for you. But to top that all off, dude is still lying. He wasn't being clear here.
Like, bro, you taking all them steroids, but honestly, like, I don't know if y'all talking about his physique, man. This thing kind of look fat, bro. Yeah, you kind of look fat, bro. Like where's I need some lean muscle mass, nigga. Like, you taking all that shit to look like this?
His friends on Snapchat exposed those chats, and very clearly he told them a much different story. He told them about trenbolone. He told them about testosterone. He told them about...
Bro, I don't think anyone should be going to the gym to look like this, right? Now, if you're trying to be the strongest man in the world, sure, but I would say for me, I go to the gym enough to be able to fuck and fight. I want to be able to look good naked, and I want to be able to, first of all, I don't even want to get into a fight. I just want to look big enough to deter fights, because niggas ain't going to fuck with you if you look big or if you look swole. If you know what I'm saying? And so, like, if you go into the gym and you struggling like this, man, what's the point, bro? I ain't coming to the gym to be like, I'm coming to the gym to lift weight, to enjoy myself, and to reach hypertrophy and to feel like extreme athleticism. Did I say that right? Extreme athleticism. Ugh. But that's the reason why I go to the gym. And I think if you're not a strength trainer, and most gym goers are, I would consider myself a bodybuilder. I'm trying to build muscle, right? You ain't got to lift all this heavy ass shit, bro. Like, you really ain't got to do that. Like, You ain't got to do all this, bro. 1,000 pounds is nuts.
Much more things is not very clearly stating here. And Goob2 comments saying, as a coach in the bodybuilding industry for over a decade, anyone reading this and thinking that this was all he took and it's his entire cycle, I have a bridge to sell you. Welcome to the show.
Nah,
it's very...
real, he's definitely taking more shit than he's sharing, bro. Nigga taking way more shit.
Clearly, he's using a lot more, unfortunately. And this is the world we live in now in fitness. You got 16-year-olds blasting experimental compounds and tren to acquire strength, to acquire some sort of infamy, to get sponsors, money, and more. And he started posting content of him at 15 years old saying things like myostatin deficiency and all of this craziness, with an amazing physique at 15 years old that even leveled up more at the time he was 17 years old. Now, are we to believe that he just had this sick physique when he was 15 and didn't take anything then too? It's hard to say. I can't really tell you for sure, but I will say we've seen the same trend with a lot of other influencers recently. And it really, again, calls into question all of these people claiming natural. You have to realize, guys, I've said this before, but drugs are easier now to buy than ever before. In some cases, easier than it is to go buy something on Amazon. I don't know where this kid's parents were. Greg made a really good point about this, where basically if you take somebody and let's say you give this 16-year-old kid half a bottle of vodka every night, right? His parents are probably going to be, even if they didn't know it was happening, they would eventually know. And if they found out, at least in my childhood, right? I was in a real rough situation, so my stuff's all different, but like my
parents African, bro. If I started to look like that, my parents, why are you looking so big? Why are you looking like the Hulk? Come here. You better not be taking steroids. I don't even think my parents know what the fuck steroids is, man. Bro, African parents, you just work out. They be like, so you want to beat me? You want to beat me up? Eh? Hey, stop going to the gym. The gym will not pay the bills. Nah, bro. I don't think African parents even know what the fuck steroids is, man. But yeah, nah. On the real though, his parents. Where is this child's parents? Where are your parents? Dog, you're about to die, bro. Like, your parents, yeah, I know why parents know what steroids is. You should know, like, hey man, this is odd for my offspring's genetics. You shouldn't be looking this big. I know my kid. You shouldn't be looking this big, man. So I don't know, man. I think hey, everybody's held accountable, bro. But at the end of the day, nah. This nigga, he's 16, he's 17, he's an idiot. He's a little child, right? So where are your parents? Your parents should most of the accountability should be on your parents, because you're supposed to be keeping an eye on your, young adult child. I can't even speak anymore.
Ass would have been beat, dude. Like, for real. I would have been wiped. Like, it would have been, I would have to find a new respawn point. Like, it would be crazy. Not a good situation. I don't know what these kids are doing, but I can't imagine a world where my son knowing, like, you have to know, right? Because here's the thing. There's needles. There's syringes. We've talked about this. There's alcohol pads. There is vials. There is pills. There's pill bottles.
I mean, he did say he was not trying to let his parents find out. So probably that's why nigga probably been using dirty ass needles, man, trying to not use alcohol pads, trying to be sneaky as possible, and that's probably what landed him in this predicament right here, man. I mean, I don't know if his parents are just not around, but I mean, the story's kind of adding up, right? Now, I don't know if he's just stupid, where he just doesn't care and he's just being dirty, or if he was just trying to be sneaky, and so that's why he didn't bother to, change the needles, because he's not trying to, like, let his parents find out. But at the end of the day, man, like, where are your parents still?
There is transactions, right? There's very clear indications that something's probably not right with my son. I mean, he grew 40 pounds in the past 6 months.
Exactly what I just said.
Might be genetically gifted, but that's kind of fucking outrageous, no? And it doesn't take much to just bridge the gap. Say, hey, my son might be on the Tazul, he might be blasting a little bit. Why aren't we doing anything about that? Why are we letting it proceed? And then on top of this, I get videos removed all the time from Instagram. I've talked about this before, but I will lift up my shirt, show my abs, flex, wow, I'm lean, it looks great, and it gets removed. Yet, at the same time, you have people posting injecting in the gym. We saw this recently that was very famous. A 17-year-old injecting his steroids in the gym on Instagram, not being taken down.
I think that's it for this video. Let me know what y'all think below in the comments. Do y'all think that these kids are hopping on gear way too early? Who should be held accountable for this shit? And how do we change the narrative, and how do we make it known to these kids that, hey, hopping on gear way too early is not normal and should not be acceptable? And who should we hold accountable for this bullshit, man? Because, hey, I'm so glad this nigga made it and he didn't die, but he was on life support, man. He could have died. He could have died, guys, right? And people die from steroids usage all the time. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It does help with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you next time. Peace.